patriots. Do not regard their own lives. That's what we want to raise up here. Epaphroditus was a patriot. It hurts my heart to see our politicians like AOC and Omar Ilhan or Ilhan Omar getting up in front of Congress. This big drama fest and crying like my life was in danger, and AOC accused Ted Cruz of trying to kill her. These are our leaders now, worried about their own lives, having a big national drama fest about how their life was almost in danger, and AOC wasn't even there. They found out. This huge drama. Oh, poor me, poor me. That's not what patriots do. Patriots regard not their own life. They lay down their life for their wife and for their kids and for their God and for their country. And that's what we've lost in the Church of Jesus Christ in America. We've been so comfortable and so blessed in many ways that we've begun to become me-centered instead of being developing a patriot spirit, which doesn't care about their life. They just want to make a difference for God and their family and their country. But I think we've lost this part called soldier. Interesting. Paul called Epaphroditus a fellow soldier. We can see the mentality. Paul had a mentality of we are soldiers. We haven't had that in America because the pressure hasn't been on. We've been family. We've been servants. Churches work hard. They do a lot of things together in this country as a whole. But we haven't had by force to think like fellow soldiers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is now here. We are going to enter into a new realm where we are going to now have to start having this kind of perspective that we are not just family, not just fellow workers, but now we are fellow soldiers, and we are in a war, and we're going to have to be in some ways like the Culper Six, where our lives are at risk, or like Epaphroditus, who regarded not his own life. I can feel it pressing that direction, y'all. Now we're going to fight to hopefully keep our freedom, because we don't wish this upon our children or upon our grandchildren, amen? And we're going to keep believing for the best. But if something doesn't shift, ladies and gentlemen, they are censoring us like crazy. They are trying to shut down our voice. They're trying to eliminate us from social media and the internet and eliminate our communication. I mean, folks, the pressure is being put on us, and if you don't realize that, then you're just putting your head in the sand. And I don't blame you if you're doing that. But I do want you to get your head out of the sand for a moment here on Sunday morning and realize that the leftists are coming. Like Paul Revere said, the British are coming. The British are coming. The British are coming. Well, the leftists are coming. In fact, they're already here. But they're going to continue to come. And so we aren't afraid. We aren't fearful. But I'm telling you, the Bible's about to get really real. Because most of the Bible was written under persecution, where the church was under duress, and we haven't had to live that way now. But I want to invite you, and whether you like it or not, we're going into the soldier realm, where onward Christian soldiers as a hymn becomes real, where the Salvation Army isn't just a corporation, nonprofit here in America, where we become the Salvation Army, soldier mindset. I can't tell you how many times back in Spokane, I started getting PTSD in Spokane. I'm ending with this illustration. I almost got like kind of PTSD in Spokane because of our pro-life movement, and then the LGBTQ folk kind of got a hold of us, and they really like Planned Parenthood. It's kind of like their temple. And so they began to attack my wife and I for a couple of years. So much so that after a service like this, and I hope it never happens here, But after a church service just a year or so ago, we couldn't even get to our car because there were a ton of people out there screaming and yelling. And I've got my special needs boy, Judah. Some of you might have noticed my special needs son hangs out on the front row sometimes. And my daughter, we couldn't even get to our car. They're screaming and yelling and blocking, and I had to have security. Were you there, Scott? You weren't there that Sunday. We had to have security holding them back, and we were barely able to fit into our car. And then we have our 2 little kids in the back seat, and there's people holding hangers because I guess you're going to have to kill your babies with hangers if you can't have abortions. I guess that's what that means, right? Which, how about you just don't kill your baby? Like don't use anything. You don't have to use a hanger. We're not forcing people to use hangers. But they're holding hangers outside of our windows and screaming at my little kids. And these guys are psycho-satanic. It's crazy. Just because we stood. Just because we stood. They'd be outside our church with a megaphone yelling during my sermon. And the temptation in me is, hey, your church people might run away. Who wants to go to church under conditions like that? I mean, the mega church down the street has air conditioning and huge foyer with couches. And the youth pastor has skinny jeans and spiky hair and tattoos in all the right places. And you can get lattes in the foyer. And your people can't even listen to the sermon because there's people with megaphones yelling during the whole sermon time. Church went from this wonderful time where you leave church better, feeling better than when you came. But it wasn't that way at our church. Amen. But I worried about the finances. Is everybody going to leave? Because American Christians aren't used to going to a church service and having a war, feeling the war, hearing the war, sensing the war in the middle of church. We want this beautiful experience every Sunday. And I began to worry. Maybe I should back off this whole Planned Parenthood thing, this whole church up. Maybe I should just back off. Because we might lose it all. And you have to make those decisions, don't you? I thought about it for about 5-10 seconds. Nope. We're going to do what's right. And if we're going to believe that the babies in the womb are actual babies, then we need to act like it. And if they were killing 5-year-olds, I'd be down there too for them 5-year-olds. And the unborn is the same thing as a 5-year-old. You know that, right? God's eyes. He knew us before we were in the womb. And he knit us together in our mother's womb. That's human life. Did you know the babies that, they move around in there? Girls, anybody ever had a baby before? If you're a guy, that's not for you. That's not for you, okay? But we've had 4. Those babies kick. They move. Don't they, sweetie? That's life. That is human life. And we can't go on with church as usual. We've got to stand. So I'm not going to riot. I'm not going to shoot the window out of Planned Parenthood and break stuff and throw rocks and scream and yell. But I am going to stand. I'm going to stand like Daniel did and like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did. I'm going to stand. We don't riot, but we do stand. Are you ready? Are you ready to stand? Then stand.